Hello. Hi. Welcome. I was trying to do Teacher Talk Tuesday and then got messaged about a meeting that I needed to attend. So I'm trying to do this really quick before I even make it to a doctor's appointment as well. So this evening is very, very busy. Anyway, I'm Yane Robinson, the Education Messiah, your host of Teacher Talk Tuesday. I wanted to share in because for a couple of years, I want to say maybe about 3, 4 years, I have brought up the fact about certain things in our system that needs to change around education, things that would benefit teachers, things that would trickle down and benefit our students, our families, and so forth. And it was such a relief to hear those who serve on the city council ask really good questions to the representatives of the chancellor's office, um, to kind of explain about what's going on in our education system currently today. So I mean, the meeting was 3 hours and 45 minutes, folks. So it was so much said, and I was in here juggling, trying to listen, take notes, do a few things. The natural thing to multitask, right? Um, but something that I had said years ago was, and even up until recently, was if I owned my own school, there would be a training program and stuff set in place before teachers could actually teach my students. And I say that wholeheartedly because when you have new teachers coming in, the textbook stuff is great, but it is not um it's not realistic in the sense of what needs to happen and what occurs once a teacher walks in the door. I mean, let's be honest, our teachers need a little more experience around that. The textbook stuff is great, but what about dealing with the social emotional aspect? Classroom management is so huge that it's the really bigger piece, because if your class is not in order and you don't know what to do with them, um or you don't have any control, you don't have any relationships with those you are serving, then yeah, we have a bigger issue at the forefront. It's hard to get done what you need to get done on the teaching aspect when that is not addressed and being taken care of or being ignored. So that's something that I was so happy to see them talk about and really put out there for other people to think about, and to bring that to the forefront with these other people who help make changes in what we do every day. So hold on, you guys. I'm just also trying to multitask here because, like I said, I'm looking at the clock and know I have to be somewhere in about 10 minutes. But I could not just not get on because I thought this was too good not to bring up, um, and not to address. So one of the things, as I'm multitasking again, that Mr. Drawl broke up, and he is the chairman for the educational committee out of the city council. He was an educator before, and he's like, listen, I know that it took me 5 years to understand the content that was being taught inside the school. That was one. And two, I know what it was to not feel supported. And there's such a high teacher turnover rate that it has really stricken everybody's attention, like what's going on over here. What is it that we can do? Let's look at the fact that we serve such a large population of students of color, and studies and everything else has shown that we children learn better by looking and seeing people who resemble them, right? And we don't have that going on right now. So how are we addressing it? So the women, I will give them, they were very good in with some of their answers. Some I feel like they might not have really answered, but that's to each his own on that aspect. um just still typing, you guys. Give me. So um let me just go straight to my notes, right? So, and I do have many. I may even have some behind me. They brought up the fact that I mean, they had so many people there. They had representatives from the UFT. Let me start with the UFT before I even go there. So this is what the UFT had to say, primarily from their representative. She said they want a bridge program in the summer. They want to see more teachers of color. They want to see smaller classes of 25 to 32 students for new teachers in kindergarten. They want a reduced program schedule. They want to see more teachers and leaders have more time, especially for new teachers. They want to see a teacher requirement for the teacher mentorship program. So in other words, if you're going to be a teacher mentor, they don't want someone who's only had maybe 2 years experience. They want someone who's at least been in the game for 5 years before being a mentor for a new teacher that's coming in to the school. They offer 10 sessions in the fall and 10 sessions in the spring for training. They call it their mentor assistance program. They also want to address in those classes, they are addressing classroom management, content-based workshops, as well as the emotional stuff, and that the credits you get from taking those classes will count to SED, right? They are also having a financial wellness classes because they're feeling like, hey, you know what? You're not making that much when you first come in. Let us help you manage your money a little bit until you get the salary that, you know, you earn from after each year after year. They are also offering a student debt clinic for those who just come out of college and want to know how to manage these finances again. And as well pay back your student loans. They are providing monthly newsletters that are just for new teachers, just some new insights, like a support group type of ordeal. They're partnering with some veteran retired teachers as well. And made a partnership with some program that's giving out school supplies. And they did it all for District 14. This current school year, all the teachers in District 14 was able to benefit from this partnership. And then some specific schools got certain things throughout the city or throughout the district as well, right? And then that the mentors will continue to receive a stipend, and that they want these things called like these teacher centers across the city. They're found across different districts though, and that's where they want staff from different schools or whatever to like a hub, so to speak, like a support. I would say almost like a setup if you were in our educator forum. If you pose a question and you have resources or something like that you want to share, you can get it from there. Or if you have a question and with anything around your practice, there's somebody in the group that hopefully can even answer that, because there's different years of experience within our group. So that's how I took it, but you know, whatever. Then a representative from Teach for America also spoke, and she was saying how they had the contract with New York City for 26 years and how they developed their early child education thing, and they got 400 teachers that are on the ground now, and 1,700 teachers that completed their 2-year commitment. So let me rewind this. The point of this meeting was to update the city council members about what's going on in our city around teacher retention and what was going to be the move. So the initiative was that they are going to Atlanta, Chicago, and somewhere else. I'm so mad that I can't get this third place down. Somewhere in these notes. To recruit teachers of color. I mean, we know about the Men Teach New York City campaign, and that was to get more men of color involved in education and becoming teachers and stuff like that. So this is only part one. I'm definitely going to come back with my part two to finish this, but I just could not let all of this just slip past me and not bring out some of the information, because it was really, really interesting. And I'm glad that finally they are taking time to look at what's going on in our school system. What can we do to stop teacher burnout? How can we, how can we get more people engaged in the profession? The other thing is that about the increase of pay. So like starting this September, if you have your master's, listen to what I said now, if you have your master's and you come into teaching, the starting salary will be like 61,000, which is up from what is currently like 50 something right now, or like 60. I don't know. It's going up by like 1,000 or some change or whatever. And then if you have, it'll go up a little bit after that for the school years after that. So they're taking small increments and increasing, hoping that that will drive more people to join the profession. I know the chancellor was after her initiative. I think they said they ran about 3,000 trainings this school year or this summer or from last year, something like that. We're trying to get as many people as equipped. There's this big push on trying to get physical education teachers, guidance counselors, and stuff like that. But someone brought up a really good point during the session, was saying, where are the trainings to help people help them with the fact that we have all of these urban setting schools and people that are not from these areas that's teaching these kids and so forth. Like, what is the training for that? Because everything is so different and children need to be supported differently around these areas. All good stuff. And I'm sorry if I was rambling, talking fast, but I did say I had an appointment. So I will be back. Hopefully, if I'm not back tonight for the spin out of Teacher Talk Tuesday, that I will definitely be back tomorrow morning with the rest of the information, because again, our future matters. How we handle our system matters. How we handle our educators and treat them matters. How do we build relationships among each other and work collaboratively to serve the youth matters. All of these things matter. So I'm just so excited to have been able to witness the session and to see that there were some thoughts and thinking taking place around this topic, and that some of the council people had some of the same questions that some of us educators had, like, what's going on? And then it was comforting knowing that they are trying to address it. Now, quiet as kept, we will always say actions speak louder than words. So hopefully we will see some other things. But I'm here. I put myself out there with saying I'm down for sitting with anybody to collaborate on how we can make and improve our instruction and how we can make this city a better place. So, as far as for our kids academically, I love all the arts and culture programs. I would never take them away, especially as a person who was into doing violin and all these different drama clubs and stuff as a child. But at the same time, there needs to be an academic reinforcement. Right now, New York State as a whole is like 37.8%, and New York City is 38% on the dot being proficient based on last year's state exams and stuff. So it's like, well, there's something else here, and why should we still be only less than 50%? That's still, the improvement is nice. I will never take nothing away from improvement. Every step towards preparing our children for the 21st century, preparing them for successful and adequate lives by their own choosing is so essential. But I really, really feel like that number needs to be up. New York City, it's the capital of the financial district, really, in a large sense of the world. So I'm not understanding what's happening and what else do we need to do. Well, I got some ideas about what else we need to do, but maybe I'll put that in my part 2 of this segment. But again, I'll be back. If I'm not back tonight, I will definitely be back tomorrow morning with part 2 of this discussion, because it was really, really refreshing and really good to see the education committee come up with their own questions, and to see that some of the current elected officials were educators. So they knew what to ask, and they knew how they felt, and they put themselves back in that place while asking the questions. That was good stuff, because oftentimes those of us in education feel like policymakers and policy shapers have no idea about what's going on in the classroom and go ahead and vote on something, and then the rest of us is just out here on a whim trying to make it day by day with our teaching. So anywho, I'm going to step out. I hope you enjoyed at least part 1 of this segment, and I hope that you will join me for part 2 coming back. Have a great night. Bye-bye.